Welcome to the Thursday, March 30th, 2023 meeting of the Fall River Redevelopment Authority. Recording of the open session can be viewed at Fall River Government Television, www.frgtv.us. I'm going to call to order the meeting. This is the open meetings law statement. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recording or transmission are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Roll call, Johnny Erickson here.
Joan Medeiros here.
Ron Rusin here.
Ann Keene here.
And Luis Gonzalez is away. Also participating are Sarah Page, our Executive Director, John Coughlin, Counsel, Ken Fiola, Administrative Services Consultant, and Karen Martin, Project Coordinator and Executive Assistant. First thing on the agenda is to approve the open session meeting minutes from February 23rd, 2023. Are there any comments on those minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
John Harrison, yes.
Joan Medeiros, yes.
Ron Rusin, yes.
Ann Keene, yes.
The chair makes a finding that open session would have a detrimental effect on the negotiating and litigating position of the public body. The purpose of the executive session is to approve the executive session meetings from February 22nd, 2023, and discuss strategy with respect to potential litigation regarding the City Pier project, potential real estate transactions on the agenda, including property on Innovation Way and Duval Street. We need a roll call to enter into executive session and then return to open session after executive session. Johnny Erickson, yes.
Joan Medeiros, yes.
Ron Rusin, yes.
Ann Keene, yes.
The agenda now is the warrant, which Joan has looked at. We've got a total of $42,922.61. Anybody have any questions on any of those items? If not, I need a motion to approve the warrant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? John Erickson, yes.
Joan Medeiros, yes.
Ron Rusin, yes.
Ann Keene, yes.
I need I'll entertain a motion on authorizing Clifton Larson Allen, LLP, to proceed with the 2022 audit for the lump sum of $25,000.
Motion to approve.
Second with discussion.
Johnny Erickson, yes.
Oh,
For
wait, I think he
discussion
wants
first.
to discuss it first.
Is that
Oh,
a
we
normal
want-
price for order? I'm just not sure.
Yes,
Before I read
yes.
something, I want to say,
Yeah.
is that normally what we pay?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I need to ask.
I've
Yeah.
just gone through RFP with another nonprofit, and it's right within the range.
Okay, perfect.
And it's really consistent with their past billing.
Okay. Before I say yes, I want to make sure.
Yes,
I know numbers.
right.
So we're good?
Yes.
Johnny Erickson, yes.
Joan Medeiros, yes.
Ron Rusin, yes.
And Ann Keene, yes.
Urban renewal plan updates on the waterfront city pier. We talked a little bit earlier about the dock design. There's some modifications going on with those drawings. Sarah, do you want to talk
Yeah.
about the program plans?
Well, I want to say a little more about the dock. It's going to be in the bid documents will be in this, I'm sorry. The advertisement is hitting the Central Register next Wednesday. The bid opening will be April 20th. And between now and when the bid documents are actually available, we're working on this redesign issue. Otherwise, the design is pretty much fine. So we bid it with basically two alternative options: a timber floating dock and an aluminum floating dock. And in either case, we have a long aluminum gangway. And so we've bid it so that a firm could come in with only a bid for wood, a bid for both, or only a bid for aluminum. And we're going to compare the cost, we're not saying we will necessarily go with the lowest of both types of bids. We may choose to go with the lowest of the wood or the lowest of the aluminum. And the reason we're doing this is that the aluminum will hold up longer, and it has some aesthetic advantages and other advantages. So if we could afford to go with the aluminum and the bids come in higher than wood, but still really attractive, then we may very well go with the aluminum. If the other issue that we're looking at is how long it's going to take for either of them to be developed and put in, and we're giving them that they have to be put in by the beginning of August. And nobody can see that they can go in earlier than that, but we want to see what we get back.
So the wood is the base bid and the alternate is the aluminum then?
Well, we changed that,
Yeah,
right?
He's rewording it to two separate,
Yeah,
yeah,
because,
we had that.
yeah, we had that, and we really want them to give us one or the other, because they don't have to give us, if somebody's coming in and just bidding on aluminum, it doesn't make sense that you have a bid with wood in it.
Right.
So we
Okay.
did have to massage that issue. So really, we're not doing a base bid with an alternate. We have two alternative
Oh, you changed,
options.
so that's different than what I saw?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So why are we doing an alternate, an alternate?
well, because they were not taking fully into account with that if an entity only wants to bid aluminum, that's allowable. So why would they be then basing it on a bid on, then we're asking them to come up with a bid for wood when they're not even doing wood.
They just
So,
put a 0 and then they put it in as the add alternate price.
well, then it isn't.
Yeah, I just haven't
it-
seen it done without a base bid.
Well, you'd have a base bidder for wood, you'd put.
Right, but it sounds like they don't have a base
That's what
bid.
I'm saying.
Yeah, I haven't seen it done that way before.
Well, it isn't really an add alternate. You're asking for two
It's an alternate.
alternate systems. Right, so you can't really have either of them.
So it's not being bid out as an alternate, it's being, like
It's two options. that-
it's two options, but it's all part of the base bid and they can submit either on the wood or on the
Right.
aluminum? Okay,
Yeah,
all right, so I think that,
so even using the term alternate at all confuses it.
yes.
Because it is not an add alternate.
Alternate.
They're two
Yeah.
options.
What
Okay.
happens if we only
And you
see-
don't necessarily have to do both.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
If we only see 3 aluminum bills and then no wood bills, how would we be, then we have to go with aluminum.
Right.
We wouldn't have a choice.
Right, but we're almost positive we'll see some wood
Okay,
bids.
because we're gonna see the difference in price.
Right.
What was the timetable on it again, on the RFP, on that,
They
Uh,
open in April 20th.
Yeah,
April
it's,
20th?
it's out to bid for 2 weeks, and the bid opening is April 20th.
Okay. Sarah, how come your microphone's pointing down? Because you have a real echo.
Oh,
Yeah, I can hear you echoing all over.
oh, that's
Maybe
weird.
that's what it is.
Are
Um,
these even on?
Yes, we can hear you clearly
Yeah.
from over there, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
so is this better now?
Same thing.
Still echoing.
Doesn't
should I-
seem to have as much of an echo.
Should I turn it off?
No, it's okay. It was just when it was down there, it sounded like you were out in the hallway.
Did, just for belts and suspenders, did Tammy or John look at that? And they both said that's okay to do it that way?
Well, John had said from the beginning it was okay to do it that way.
Okay.
And
I just don't want somebody contesting a bid.
Right.
No, I know, that's,
Right.
yeah,
You want to get this verbiage correct.
right.
Right. Well, you know, it isn't given, they're still getting back to us with all of the changes, so I can have John look at it.
Yeah, just to be on the
Yeah.
safe side.
I think just
Yeah.
Yep.
ask, look at
Yeah.
how it's being asked.
Because the bid's April, the bid opens April 20th, and you only have to do it 14 days, you have to April 6th to actually get it out there.
Right.
Anything more on that, Sarah?
No.
Do you want to speak to the program?
Yes, so we had a first meeting of our committee, which we originally organized to really look at rules. And right now, we're waiting to coordinate with Seth in the mayor's office because he has been working on an application for parks, for city parks, and a cover letter that would go with that explaining rules. And so we're trying to see what he's come up with, and Elena had worked with him to some extent, and then work from that for our rules, which we know will be somewhat different. And so the committee we have is Johnny, Patrick from the Narrows, and Patty Rigo from Viva Fall River, and Elena from the mayor's office. And the mayor knew Johnny was with us, so he joined us for a while. And we came up with a plan for events. And we're talking about having events out there 2 Thursdays a month, starting on June 29th. So it would be June 29th, July 13th and 27th, August 10th and 24th. And these would be relatively simple events, but we're looking at potentially needing funds to pay musicians, not major bands or anything. Patrick and the Narrows have booked August 27th for a real concert. And so a question for the board is, are we willing to put money into supporting some of the cost of these events? We're talking with the city about financially supporting it, but that's really a question we haven't resolved, is if we're having entertainment, how are we compensating people to some extent? And some interesting solutions are in play. One is that the city purchased a big vehicle with 2 porta potty systems on it. And so our hope is that that can be brought out for events where we really feel we should have that service. And I'm not sure if the evening events, there are a couple of hours on a summer evening, I don't know that we'll need that, but that's still kind of a question. When do we need porta potties and how are we getting them? And we did agree that it would make sense to cultivate volunteers who would help with events, which is something that the Narrows has done really successfully, and they have a team of people who really make sure events go well. And so I think we should pursue that idea. And tomorrow we're meeting again. We'll talk about trying to have a couple of weekend events in the fall. And that's more or less where we are at this point. We have a lot more questions we're pursuing answers to, And some of the things that we'll do on these Thursday evenings is have food trucks, and then try to plan some fun things, like one being a kite night and crafts for kids, and try to make it a real family-friendly event.
So the one big event is in August?
That, yeah, and we certainly can plan more. You had suggested we try to have a beer garden in the fall and, you know, a couple of events in the fall,
Mhm.
right?
That's not to be run from this board, correct? Will we be the event planner for that? And you're saying we're gonna put money into music, why don't we get a event planner, let them get sponsors, let them do the marketing, and get vendors so they make money on it, and give us a portion of money back, so it's not costing anything, we could actually make money from it.
Well, I think the big problem is that we're starting this planning late in the game.
Okay.
You know, Patrick and Patty are both committed to really helping with this, but they're fundraising for their own events. So I was not expecting that we would be putting on events where we had to pay for them.
So you're gonna let vendors in for free, like food trucks?
No, we'll charge food trucks, but I don't know how much you charge them.
We did talk about exactly what you're talking about, and the idea was maybe this first season, kind of, walk before we run type thing, but I think what you're suggesting, I think, is something that's gonna have to happen eventually. Some other entity.
I mean,
Instead of us paying, get sponsors, get a bank, so because I know St. Anne's Print Community did, when they do the ones a little farther up next to the,
The Heritage State Park?
yeah, Heritage State Park, when they do that one, they sponsor it and they pay for it, so I'm not sure if St. Anne's will say, listen, why have competition, let's see if St. Anne's will come in and sponsor ours instead of that one,
Or both?
or both, and then this way, but I think they're both on Thursdays, that's unless they're gonna
But
be.
this is 2 Thursdays a month, St. Anne's is once a summer. Right?
I think they have events almost, I thought it was every other Thursday for them too, no?
We might have some incidentals around, like,
Yeah.
details and, right, I mean, in terms of pay, just minor disbursements, like,
Yeah.
we were talking about police details and those few other things, right?
we have to figure out police details. I mean, I was really focusing on rules and not focusing on becoming event planners, but Patty had always said that she wanted to have events there, and I guess now we're in a position to have to start going out and getting sponsors, and I don't know that any of us had quite planned on that.
I don't think we should be event planners, I'm not making that clear, I think we should bring somebody in that knows what they're doing.
But then
We don't want it to fail the first year.
Then we're gonna have to pay them.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying, even somebody that wants to put it on themselves
Yeah.
and make money off it, and just gives a portion of the money or break even the first year, let them get started, so it doesn't cost us nothing, and it's still run well. I don't know if we would do that, to tell you the truth, besides the Narrows. But who does the ones on South Main Street? You know, when they have
Patty.
those events?
Patty,
No, the block party?
The block party, yeah.
That was the
Ah.
That was the narrows with People Inc.
Yeah.
and some sponsors.
That's what I'm saying, we gotta get some sponsors that, so it shouldn't cost us nothing, we should be making money on that. But the first year, I agree, we might lose a little money, but let's make a plan so we can make money with that, not cost us money. My opinion.
Any other discussion?
so are you saying that you want us to find event planners that will come and do the events and find the sponsors?
And eventually pay us a fee for it.
We were talking about putting this whole thing out to bid next year, that we would have some events there this year. My my understanding was, and I understand Patty is willing to do some of these events, but the issue of who's paying for them then came up. And we had talked, Ken and I had talked about putting the whole pier out to bid the way some have been done in other places, where you would say we're looking for a group to put events on, you know, for the whole summer, and what would you pay us to have the pier to program? But that may exclude the Narrows and Viva, and that may be an issue given kind of how the city is committed to working with, especially Viva Fall River for its tourism. So I guess I don't really know how we're in a couple of months going to find entities that are going to put on events and pay us for it this year.
Do you know what do we even have a budget?
No,
That's what I'm saying, I don't think we're qualified to do a budget. And what we don't wanna find out is at the end of this event, it costs us $40,000.
Right.
And we don't have, well, not that we don't have 40,000, but we don't wanna spend 40,000 or something like that. There's a gentleman, Paul Lopes, I know he does stuff like this, he does a Stevie B at White's. He makes a good amount of money, there's 2,000 people there, but he only puts out one event a year. And it takes him the whole year to put the event on.
Well-
So that's what I'm saying, I don't think us at this table are qualified to be event planners.
but our Chapter 91 license doesn't allow us to have private events, ticketed events. It really, right now, until we go back and amend our Chapter 91, if we want to do that, right now, we're restricted to having public events that are free.
But maybe, Sarah, I think the conversation maybe at tomorrow's meeting needs to go back to the Narrows and Beaver Fall River and figure out what their capacity is and see if they can manage these events.
Right.
I agree with Ron, we don't have the capacity
No,
to do
we
this.
don't.
And
No.
And also what the budget is.
Right, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
If you put on 2 events a month, you're gonna have to pay for the entertainment, and then if you're doing other stuff, there's gonna be additional costs. But then,
Right.
are you gonna have, you know, you're gonna have, what are you gonna charge vendors for being there?
And liabilities, somebody gets stabbed there, or something happens there, I don't want our name to be on that. That's why it's better to have somebody else take over.
Yeah, we didn't have any intention at any time of running events. Just obviously that we're not set up to do that. But it's kind of in the early stages. I mean, there's only been a couple of meetings on it.
Just one. That was our
That was
first
the only
meeting.
one?
Mhm. And I set it up to talk about rules for us to use for groups to come to us, and it quickly turned into, well, we should have 2 events a month, and I got the sense that Patty wanted to really manage those, but then the question was raised, well, you know, what sponsors are we getting, how are we funding these, and so,
We are almost April 1st, we're not meeting to April 29th, and I have an event on June 19th. That is a marketing nightmare right there.
well, it's June 29th, and
June 29th?
and these are supposed to not be major events. It's like, come with a kite,
Yeah.
and there's gonna be
Yeah,
some
these
food
aren't
trucks
like
there.
big money. These
Yeah.
first ones that I've been described to me are pretty simple.
Okay.
All right, let me throw this question out.
Mhm.
The city has successfully done with the Narrows over what, the past 2 or 3 summers, these concerts in the park.
Right,
So is there any thought that maybe 2 of the nights would be the events at City Pier? possibly?
They
Since
spread-
they've already got a structure in
They
place.
spread, those are sponsored events and they spread them out through the city.
Right, I understand
Yeah.
that, but we have four evenings a month that they're doing it, so there's a model built, I guess is what I'm saying, so can they somehow work off of that?
Yeah, the model's built on the sponsorship,
I know.
right? So
Yeah.
that's the thing, right? So either the redevelopment authority is gonna have to sponsor for the first year unless you get sponsors, but somebody's gonna have to pay.
I think, we can ask Patrick tomorrow, but I think they're all set up at, like, this park, that
Right.
park, next
Right.
week, this one, you know, that kind of.
These
thing.
would be in
But I
addition
don't, I'm
to
not
that.
sure, but we can find out tomorrow.
That's
So-
for recreation.
But that's a good idea.
Right.
I thought recreation puts that on.
No,
No?
the Narrows,
Well, the recreation may pay for it.
no. Last
Just
year,
Narrows?
Marshall County's
Okay.
savings was the
Okay, so it's
primary
just Narrows,
sponsor.
yeah.
Yeah,
Who
it was
did the,
the city
wasn't
of
there
Narrows.
movie nights or movie night?
That's what I'm
That's
thinking of, the one
different.
at Durkee High School, they do, in the parking lot, they have a movie night.
Yeah, that's
It's sponsored by
different.
recreation.
Yeah.
That's a city thing.
Yes.
Maybe that might be an idea for their,
What?
maybe sometime have a movie night or something. I don't know what's involved.
Don't forget, this is gonna be a funny year because you're in a construction zone.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right?
That's
yeah.
true.
Right?
People that
You're gonna, you're
That was
gonna,
part of our thinking.
in another month, you're probably not gonna have any parking along Duval Street. Right, so that means that you're gonna have people that are needed to get to the pier for facility, for these types of events, are gonna be parking elsewhere and walking to the pier.
Right.
So,
You have
And we'll be
work on
doing-
the docks before August, right, when we put docks out there, there's gonna be construction within the pier.
No,
No,
it
it's-
isn't.
That'll be
It's
all the
all in the
water.
water.
It's water.
Also,
It's
water,
It's
we're
water.
gonna have to leave the docks out there before they go in the water and run on the pier.
It flows
No,
in.
it's all done from the water.
Okay, well,
Yeah, we would damage the pier if we did
Okay.
that. So in the spec, it says, the only place that's on land is where the gangway
Goes up to it,
meets land and meets the
Which is kind of-
walkway.
It's kind of like a rip wrap now, so
Yeah.
that no one would be there anyway, where they have to do the connection,
Okay.
you know, to the ramp.
But they basically bring a barge and bring them all in and place them.
We'll be doing drainage work.
Potentially.
Well, something's gotta be done,
Yeah,
right? Or they all bring life jackets.
Right.
But you have to throw that wrench in.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
Any other discussions on that item? We have to talk about, speaking of the Route 79, so that opens up these 19 acres. So what we've discussed is a motion to authorize us to develop an RFP for master planning project anticipated to cost in the range of $125,000 to $150,000, and initially commit $50,000 of Redevelopment Authority funds.
So I outlined this in the board package and tried to give you a little preview. We have a letter of interest into the state. We haven't heard back on it yet, but I'm waiting for feedback. Assuming they say, yes, that's a good proposal, we'll put a proposal in on early June. And, but we think we should get going on this sooner, and, you know, Dan Aguirre and Chris Perrino both agree that we really have no time to spare to get going on planning this. But that leaves us with the desire to get started, but not being sure that we have funding being provided anywhere else. So I'm being upfront with you that if you, we would like you to approve $50,000, but if we don't find other funds, that would mean we'd be coming back for more funds.
I make a motion, we give $50,000 to start off with, and if we need more, then come back for more. But I think this is a project that we need to get going, started on right away, and not wait.
Yep,
This is a city game changer.
yeah, it is. And we want a really good, careful plan.
Second?
Second.
All approved. John Erickson? Yes.
Bill Canaris, yes.
Ron Newsom, yes.
Jane Teene, yes.
Do you want to speak to the Armory at all, Sarah, or first?
So the person we've been talking with for a long time, it became clear he really wasn't moving on this quickly, and the city put it out to bid, and we, basically our MOU has, it ran out a while ago, and, but the city attorney would just like us, they would like the board to just vote that we all agree the MOU is terminated. And we happily will say it's terminated. The city's gotten a good, I understand, a good proposal for development for the Armory, which is a really good outcome. And so we're just asking for your agreement for me to sign a letter that John Coughlin is going to draft that's about a sentence and says the board has voted and is agreeing that we no longer have an MOU with the city on the Armory.
Yeah, so I just need a motion to authorize the executive director to sign that letter stating that the MOU between the city and FRRA regarding the Armory building is terminated.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Yes.
Joan Daenerys, yes.
Ron Newsom, yes.
And Keane, yes.
Not a hard decision, right?
No.
Glad something's happened. Mass development.
So we have worked with Mass Development and the TDI district for the last 3 years, and usually TDI districts aren't renewed, but ours was renewed in Fall River, and so we now have a memorandum of agreement that 9 other organizations, including the city, including Bristol County Economic Development Consultants, and a number of other entities that have really been involved through this whole period, are asked to just sign on. We did this a few years ago, and we're being asked to sign on to the memorandum that says we're committed to working on this for another couple of years. And we passed out the new geography, which is larger, which came out of the many discussions we had about district management and potentially a bid. And then the goals are many goals that are really consistent with our downtown urban renewal plan, and came, many of them, out of the rapid recovery plan that I worked on with the city planner and a number of people a year or so ago. And so I was really happy to see those goals laid out in that way. I think it's a good set of goals to be working on.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion authorizing the chair to sign a memorandum of agreement with Mass Development as one of the top 10 members of the TDI partnership, agreeing to a continuation of the Transformative Development Initiative, TDI, in downtown Fall River through September 1st, 2025, with an expanded geographic area and updated set of goals. Second?
Second.
John Harrison, yes.
Joan Daenerys, yes.
Ron Newsom, yes.
And Keane, yes.
Pleasant Street.
Well, we're having another meeting of our team next Wednesday, and the urban renewal plan has gotten a lot of feedback. What we're waiting now for is, we've been doing a review of all the parcels that are listed for potential acquisition. And a lot of them came out of the tax title lists, and so Matt Thomas has gone through and has removed many. They're either resolved, people have paid their taxes, or the building is under agreement and someone's buying it. So so our list has diminished, and now Mike Dion is looking through the maps we have. We have maps, and Ken and I are going to look through them again as well to see, are there other buildings that really should be on the potential acquisition list? We think that it's too conservative and doesn't take into account as many buildings as we could potentially want to purchase and dispose of down the road. And I think a cautionary tale is when you look at the waterfront urban renewal plan and the fact that we're having to add these 2 parcels, you know, in I wasn't here, you know, in retrospect though, it would have been great to have those parcels on that plan. So it made me go back and think, okay, in a few years, what would I have wished was on this list that we don't have on the list? And so we're just giving that another look. And then we want to have a meeting of our community advisory group and bring drafts to them of both the roadmap and the urban renewal plan to get their input and give them a chance to really comment again. And Innes Associates wants to get it to DHCD for an initial review. And I'm having a meeting with the person at Ty and Bond who will be working on the MIPA process to get a new update on what the MIPA process is going to involve, which we're going to proceed with once we have the urban renewal plan into DHCD. Does that sound right?
Anybody have anything else? Can you get a motion to adjourn?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you meant regarding that matter. So 2 questions I have is, the bid openings, will it be brought to the next meeting?
Yes.
That'll be brought to the next meeting, and do we have any word on the appraisal to be done in Commerce Park? Has that been done yet?
No, he's working on it.
He's working on it, so I thought we were gonna have it done on March 1st.
I know, I thought we were too.
And now we're able to start it, okay. Doesn't take that long. Okay, that's all I have.
Who's doing it?
Canaan?
Okay.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Joan Daris, yes?
Ron Rusin, yes?
Mary Jane, yes?
Thanks, everybody.